Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah, and here on my channel I post lifestyle and physiotherapy related content. So if you're interested in that, subscribe, notifications to all, so miss a video. In today's video, as you can see from the title, I'm going to give you guys 5 things that I took away from my student placements. And yeah, these 5 things will help you when it comes to your student placement, but also just help you as a physio in general. And yeah, if you have anything you feel like you want to add it in the comments, and it will help everybody, even myself. So the first thing that I would like to add is having scissors on you. Now, I don't mean obviously big scissors, like no, and I don't necessarily mean in your pocket, but I tend to take my stethoscope case to the ward or to where that I'm based. So if I need to grab anything, I can grab it really quickly without having to have it in my pockets the whole time. But like I think about my 4th placement, I got these little really small scissors that are like used to cut tubing for a humidified circuit, and without walking around with scissors it became really obviously awkward being like, hi, can I borrow your scissors to cut this tubing, can I do this, can I do that? So then in the end they were just like, here's a pair, take your own, keep them. So I'd say walking around with like having some scissors handy nearby, or even if you don't feel comfortable walking around with your own or purchasing your own, at least knowing where they're located in the ward. So that would be first thing, very helpful to have. Obviously be mindful of the area that you're working in. Some areas, like when I was in mental health, there's no way in hell like they would allow me to walk around with scissors. Common sense. Anyway, next thing, which also is common sense, but a lot of people don't do it, having a detailed social history. Now, I've been on placements where they've given you like a sheet of questions to ask people for social history, and some of the sheets are very bog standard, like who you live with, what type of place you live in, do you have stairs, who does your cooking, your washing, your da 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 da. Then I've had others where it's even in more detail. It's like, do you have pets? Do you own your home? Do you this? Do you do that? All these questions that initially you won't think to ask, and you're a bit like, why are we asking these sometimes? But trust me, when you get later on down and you're like, what are the other goals that we need to do for this patient? Like, oh, do they need a steer assessment? And rather than embarrassing yourself and being like, hi, I know we already asked you for a social history, but I'm gonna ask again because somebody corrected, get it correctly. It just basically avoids you a lot of work later. So getting a detailed social history, I realized the importance of it. Like, obviously it's important that you get that first step like correct, so you don't then have to do extra work later. You know what I mean? Another thing that I realized, well, the third thing that I realized is that I brought this pretty quickly to be fair. So in my first placement, one of the goals I had to work on was my level of confidence. Now, I don't know what you think of me, but from what other people who know me personally have said, they find it strange, or they find it interesting, the fact that like when I went on to placement initially, I wasn't that confident, considering I'm a pretty confident person in my general day-to-day life. And I found it strange that I wasn't very confident. But I think initially it was because I got in my head quite a bit, and I didn't want to believe that I was capable of doing what I know I was capable of doing. It's silly, but you know. So the third thing is, by the end of the placements, even before that point, I recognized that I know what I know, I am capable of doing what I'm capable of doing, and that I should believe in myself to do what I've been asked to do, because I wouldn't be in this position if other people didn't believe that I had the potential for success, or if other people didn't believe that I would reach this point, and now I'm band 5 physio. I need that level of confidence to be like, hey, yeah, I can run a ward if I need to run a ward. Like, yeah, don't expect me to do it on the first day, but if you show me 1 or 2 times, yeah, I've got this, I can do this kind of thing. And yeah, I realize that's a quality that you really need. Even if sometimes you don't believe it, you gotta portray it, because and I'm not saying, like, obviously, if you're really not comfortable doing something, voice it, because it's better to be safe than sorry. But yeah, I'd say that's one thing that I'm like, about myself. Another thing I would say is that, I think what would be my 4th thing. So my 4th thing, speaking about stethoscope case, is to walk with your stethoscope, no matter the rotation, no matter the placement. I say this because you may think, oh, but if I'm doing this type of placement, why would I need my stethoscope? Just carry it. Trust me, because I've had placements before, or I've had days where it's like, oh, we're just going to be in this area. And you're thinking, I'm not going to listen to a chest at any point. And then best believe that's the time when the patient comes in with something wrong, with something completely different, but then their chest is wheezy. Or they're this and this. Like, oh, I can hear that. Grab a stethoscope, listen to it. Do you want to have a listen, Mariah? And I'm here like, I forgot my stethoscope at home. And, you know, people are comfortable sharing stethoscopes. You know, if you're comfortable doing that, do that. If it comes down to it and it's like something that I'm going to miss out on hearing again, or it's like a once in a lifetime experience, or like a once, you know, it's a rare find, I will listen to it via someone else's stethoscope if it comes to it. But ideally, to minimize infection and for infection control and stuff like that, have your own. Have your own on you. Walk with it. It's better to have it than not have it. So I'd say that is definitely a big one, because I found myself like missing out on one or two opportunities where I'm like, oh my god, how did I not get to listen to that because I forgot my stethoscope? So annoying. That is literally how I was inside to myself. But lastly, the fifth thing I would say is to make sure you set aside time during your placements to revise. Like, I've been perfectly, well, yeah, I can't remember the word I was about to say. Basically, I've been, yeah, completely honest about the fact that while I was on placement, I did not revise. I just felt like I had no time. And it came to bite me in the butt a couple of times where I would get quizzed on the spot, which one, I am not that type of learner. I don't appreciate being quizzed on the spot. I just like prior warning before I'm about to be quizzed. I don't necessarily need like, oh, I need time to like to sit down and read what you're going to ask me. I just don't like to be ambushed, and it's just how I am. In that sense, but I understand obviously in healthcare you have situations where you're not expecting something to happen and something happens. So I'm like, I get it from both ends. It's just, yeah. But what I'm trying to get at here is that, yeah, it's important to continue with your revision throughout, and obviously don't just stop it because you go to school, that you're in school, or just because you're on placement. Try and find a way to like somehow incorporate it. And of course you're learning while you're on placement. So that was kind of my motto. I was like, I'm learning while I'm on placement, and also while I was on placement I had like dissertation going on and all that. So I was like, my plate is full, okay? And I was also working alongside in a different city. So I'm like, my plate is rammed to the brim. So I'm kind of just like, okay. But if I could go back, I would try and figure out a way that I could manage it all. Understandably, obviously, once you're qualified, and if you go into a specific specialized area, of course you're going to have more knowledge on that specific area than the area that you are currently practicing in. But it's also good to have a basic level of understanding of a different area. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a lot of respiratory based experience, but it's good to have an understanding of how to conduct a neuro assessment, or how to conduct a stroke assessment, or how to conduct an MSK objective assessment. Like, it's good knowledge to have on hand. But those are the 5 things that I took away from my student placements. Hopefully they help you with yours, and good luck when they come out. Yeah, so see you guys. Bye.